find themselves in an engagement. Now, Alliance, another squad who have been able to move extremely quickly over to the northwest side of this map. Shopify Rebellion also moving, and then speaking of first fights, Monsoon and the rest of the Complexity squad just being tickled by Aurora right now, but it is not going to be a proper engagement.
Those two teams, great friends outside of the game, but in the game, unfortunately, I'm sure for their friendship, bitter enemies for now. Care package going to be dropping pretty near to Aurora as well. They'll be hoping there's Evo cash in there so they can get at least up to a purple shield on one of their players, and hopefully for them, anyway, maybe not for the rest of the lobby, there's a cheeky little weapon they can use to do some damage.
It's going to be Fnatic, Complexity, and Aurora all around Blossom Drive in Neon Square. And Complexity have run into Fnatic a lot this tournament and pretty much lost out the majority of time. So I'm sure they want to avoid them if they knew who it was. TSM also being pressured by Enter Force 36 here. All on Grays, may I add. And maybe E36 getting that information. Do they want to fight this? Because they are certainly closing in on them.
So TSM, like you say, not looking great when it comes to armors. Haven't really had the opportunity to leave down the southern side of the map at Shipyard Arcade, because E36 are running them down.
Yeah,
now,
they want
E36, no surprise that they want it. They probably got some armor checks. We saw some damage onto TSM. They know they've got blues. They know that TSM don't. If they play this well, there's no reason they shouldn't be able to pick up some KP here.
Well, think back to that Storm Point game yesterday. Enter Force 36 absolutely obliterated the lobby. And TSM need to be careful.
To be careful, Bubble's going to go down. Zap has to play the back of that bubble just to pop that cell. See that? He's going to go in. He's going to wreck Verholz. TSM, not the start they would have wanted. Illy with the first one. See that? Looking for the second. And unfortunately, the armor disadvantage for TSM might be too much here. Reps left on his own. Can he escape somehow here for TSM?
I think that has to be the aim. We've seen Reps get away from fights before, but you've got to run as fast as you can and hope and pray you don't get shot. But it can be so difficult, especially with the weapons that are in the meta right now. The Nemesis, the Scout, you can absolutely destroy someone who's trying to escape. And Synap is on the hunt. And TSM are so close to being our first team eliminated.
I think Reps knows that this is done. That is behind the hot food counter, where we're going to see E36 heat up early here. TSM, the first team out of the lobby in our match point finals.
I mean, if there is one team you do not want to allow to heat up in the early stages, it would be Enter Force 36. If you have not seen that Storm Point game I'm referring to, I really encourage you to go back, watch those VODs, and see one of the most historic games we've witnessed in ALGS and how they performed. It was just the amount of fights they were able to win, even when you thought they were down. Now elsewhere, Fnatic will continue on their rotation on the western side. They're probably going to try and skirt the edges and get up towards Boardwalk. I think there is one team up there, but they should be okay for now.
One thing I love about this zone as well, this is more of a typical E-District zone. This is one where you see a lot of buildings that can be played up to Zone 3, Zone 4, where everybody has a place to play. And this is going to be a real test of, I think, the nervousness that's in the camp of each of these teams. Because when we've got everybody stacked up, if you've watched Apex Legends before, you'll know that it comes down to those micro-rotates, the micro-decisions that you have to make towards the end game to find a space, a third-party opportunity, some way to progress in those leaderboards, get those placement points, and let the kills come to you.
Falcons also trying to get to the western side of the map, arguably to hit the ring console just below Blossom Drive, but let's see where this zone is going to be going. Continues to pull a little bit further north, as expected from everyone who had already found themselves in this area. They are going to be comfortable in the buildings they previously found.
A couple of teams just keeping an eye on. Enter Force 36, of course, who dispatched TSM a little bit earlier over at Shipyard Arcade, just working their way through zone. This is something they've done quite a lot, actually, here on E-District. They've kind of taken an early fight, and then with the Valkyrie in the composition, looked for a late hit on ring console, and then taken to the skies to play the side of zone that looks a little bit quieter. It's worked for them so far to get to match point finals. The question is, will it work here in our match point finals?
I think this might be the most Valkyries we've seen in a lobby, certainly that I can remember anyway. Only a couple of Catalysts alongside it, and then we're seeing the tried and tested Newcastle, Gibraltar, and Rampart, which has been the most popular one. But we also have a Loba in the lobby from ExoClan. They've been running that throughout the tournament. And, of course, I can't not mention it, we have the Mirage on Aurora. Could we see the first ever LAN victory and first ever trophy picked up by a Mirage team?
So third beacon information has been gathered here by Shopify Rebellion. That's why you see that green circle in the top left of your screen on the map overhead, and they are going to play this position and be here for quite some time. Spoke to Slayer from Slayers from Exo Clan a little bit earlier outside the hotel before we arrived here at the venue, and he kind of questioned him on the low pick, and he was like, we just want to loot up as quickly as possible. We drop the low brawl, we get 2 guns, we'll worry about the loot later. The black market availability means that they'll be good for cells, ammo, whatever it is, and when teams die around them, everything as far as gunfire, attachments, weaponry can be brought to them.
And when you look at Legends that can escape, that can get away and get your team back up to a full 3, Loba, one of the best, especially with the changes as well to her bracelet, getting 2 times of it now. But Exo Clan would rather not have to run away from fights, but they find themselves in yet another finals lobby. Somehow, some way, they just keep getting here. An incredible team. When they get in those fights, when they get down and dirty, they just seem to find the points.
Only 3 teams outside of the zone at the moment. E36, Aurora, VK Gaming, Virtus Pro? Did I say 3? Maybe 4. Virtus Pro pretty close to the northern side of the zone at the moment though, so they haven't got too far to go. Fnatic are sort of entering zone at the moment, down to the southern side. Furia pretty close to them, but not close enough for an engagement to break out. All those teams, of course, will be looking to level up that Evo, hit a couple of Harvesters on their way to zone to make sure they've at least got purples, as they will have to fight their way in a little bit later.
And this was the Virtus Pro squad you were talking about. VK Gaming on the other side of this down south. So if Virtus Pro don't feel like going through the choke on the north, they might run into VK, but I imagine that they will just try and reposition, get the ring console, and wait for that information.
So that's going to be the play indeed. Ring console is going to be high priority for VP. Elsewhere, Aurora have just found a solo member of VK Gaming, and I think they might have just been scared away by the presence. I mean, it's smart from Aurora, right? It also shows maybe a little bit of nervousness, because they see one player, they're like, oh, why is someone in zone? If we go down here, or there's a full team above us, this is a difficult fight to take. They back down smartly. VK kind of get away with things here, and you can see like deep in zone on that right-hand side of your screen. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah, we always have the extra ability to, see the map overhead, but you can understand why these decisions are made. Similar to yesterday when LG didn't go up the zip, for example, even though we knew no one was there. They made the right play. Wow, okay, we're going back up towards Resort. Great news for some of those who have committed on the western side, but, Exo Clan, who we checked in a little bit with earlier, they're going to have to move a little way to try and get into this zone. And also, when you look at actually, the difference in height on this zone, it could be a very interesting one.
Certainly can indeed. And if you're Valkolten in late to this position, you will see that one side of that zone is completely and utterly free. Now, interestingly, as this zone is now pulled away from where we originally thought it might end up, buildings have become a lot more sparse. So you're going to see teams all of a sudden who have to leave those stacked up areas where the buildings are, have to fight their way through, and it's going to be a really tough rotate to that end game for them. But if you can approach late, if Complexity approach late to the north, for example, then they can have a free walk-in. Go Next, though, they're in a battle right now, and it's going to be Shopify Rebellion who they're taking on.
Yeah, Go Next, they jumped on in. They took an evac tower and tried to just send themselves dead center of this zone, and they've somehow been able to stabilize here.
Well, stabilize, but they've got such a small corner to play. You can see that Noctum are looking above as well. Atom is just looking down, hoping that someone pokes and he can take advantage of damage. Go Next just surviving at the moment, not interested in trying to engage. I think Shopify Rebellion might have tried to swing out on some damage to deal with them, but they will survive for now. 19 squads still alive in our lobby.
Shopify Rebellion didn't want to overstep their boundary there, especially with Noctum above them, but Zainu does bubble out as he's just saying, look, guys, we can take them. We got 3 free kills here potentially, but they're very concerned about the team above them. And it is not worth throwing away the whole game just for 3 kills, but at the same time, they have to assess the threat accordingly.
We just saw from the POV of Zainu, the 2-time LAN champion. Part of the duo alongside Koiful, who won our last event in Germany, the Split 2 playoffs. Skynade went up, but didn't quite connect. Furia, though, full red armors. I think they had access to a Mythic bin, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, this is scary. Go Next have now gone underneath Shopify Rebellion here, but, with VKG and Furia in the area, you're reluctant to take this fight as well. It's why we're able to see teams cohabit so closely as well.
I mean, Go Next have just slid under SR right now. You can see they're playing that bottom floor. They managed to force their way in. Plus, they've got the Catalyst being played by Zidane. That makes it the push a lot more difficult if Shopify Rebellion want to try and swing, because those piercing spikes, they're going to slow you down on that staircase, or certainly they're going to have to be shot out, which is going to give you the indication that they're going to try and swing. So Catalyst being very vital in this situation.
Well, Fnatic, you spoke about that open space over on the northwest side. They're trying to find it, but they're not the first team there. Furia already found their way over here. Enter Force 36 and Complexity are all in this same vicinity now, but Fnatic have got this high ground and they have this ledge. If you get a Newcastle wall down here, the castle wall comes out, and I tell you what, you might just be king of the castle.
Once again, the Valkyrie ultimate, the Skyward Dive, showing its value here on E-District.
Rest of the lobby doesn't like it though.
It's like that wall doesn't adhere to building standards. We're going to remove that one for now.
Still a couple of squads that are so close in proximity that are not taking the fight because they're so worried, with 18 squads still remaining here, with the fourth zone closing, but knocked them. Remember, they were on that bridge and a couple of them have been knocked. Real question is, will they be able to get back up onto their feet? It seems that every single time they get a res, Alliance are in the kill feed knocking them.
It's also Zero from Falcons with a Kraber who got that initial knock. So Falcons, weaponry-wise, are going to be very happy with what they found on their little journey towards the zone. They're on the southern side of things at the moment.
Get shot through the grates.
Esports are once again just showing how you can survive in the smallest of corners in this meta. Team Liquid Alienware versus ExoClan though. Jaguares popping a battery, trying to slide down and out of the bubble, but it's not looking like a good situation for them. ExoClan have an opportunity to clean this fight up.
Yeah, ExoClan have been able to get the initial ones, but they also have to move at the same time, and both of these teams might end up on their backs shortly. So Exo probably just want to guarantee the point. Liquid Anywhere get eliminated by Shopify Rebellion, though. Zainu from the window with the scout does the job, and now Exo, it's their turn to try and push it.
Have to use the bubble to cross. Swinny's going to dive down. Swinny, 1 HP. Slayer 0, ExoClan out of the lobby. They will be eliminated. Couldn't make that cross in time.
Yeah, I think that was inevitable. Once teams caught wind of where they were arriving from, they were able to get eyes. Virtus Pro also got taken out of the lobby, as now Aurora and Falcons are so close to one another. Two teams that could very much go on to win this entire thing today.
Two teams who fought a lot yesterday.
Falcons dead.
In some of the group stages that we saw. How goes down though, even with the red armors. They can't do anything in this situation. Wolsey's trying to escape, he can't do it. Falcons just get absolutely run over. As Unlucky in effect find themselves on their own. Alliance, the IGL on his back for now.
Aurora really commanding their position, taking that space, taking that height. As Alliance are back up as well. The bubble gets them on their feet, but Aurora have now just lost two as the Gaming Gladiators take advantage of their position.
It's Aurora. Pieces of Aurora. There's a Mirage around here somewhere. Didn't manage to finish him off. Sheila and Phony take on that high ground, and luckily that attack was there just in the nick of time to keep them alive, but not for long enough. Shopify Rebellion also don't make it into our top 10 here. Gaming Gladiators have also been eliminated as Fnatic bang center zone all of a sudden, by the way. Start to have a little peek and think, can we find some KP?
These Valkyrie teams are pulling stuff off. We've got 4 teams alive who have Valkyrie in their composition. I think it is really demonstrating how important she can be here on E-District, especially with certain zones. I know it's always going to be different depending where that zone goes, but both Enter Force 36 and Fnatic and Furia as well have found themselves on that northwest side we were originally mentioning.
Well, I mentioned 2 of the previous LAN winners that we had in Mannheim, Germany, in the Split 2 playoffs. Well, we all know the drama that unfolded after that, which left Phony here, the IGL of Guild, having to find a new squad. Unfortunately for him at the moment, one of his teammates has fallen in Legacy, and it's Hackis with that PK who gets the knock onto him.
No time to res, no time to think. Effect walks on in, and Hackis gets the final job done. Guild eliminated, but now VKG pushing up. It's E36 on this side.
Oh, they've lost everything. All the cover's gone. Team Burger have gone in the meantime. QQ doing what he did yesterday. The Valk tries to fly away. It's aimbot taken to the skies. E36 are gone because Fnatic overlooking all of this carnage. Yuka says, here's a present for you. Enjoy these thermites.
That's a fatty thermite if I've ever seen one, as Alliance get eliminated in the kill feed as well. VKG the next to go. 6 squads now remain, and the crowd starting to believe in Fnatic here in match 1.
Whereas Fnatic could kick this tournament off with a win, and maybe they're looking to kick off match point finals with a win as well. Go Next versus Noctum Esports. Both EMEA teams now forced to fight in and around this castle wall and this bubble.
Remix Powers making sure he gets it back up while Sheila defends, and Go Next, they just can't push.
They can't push, and that bubble's going to go down. Remix Powers. It's Fnatic from distance again with a grenade that gets involved. So down with the PK. Trapped in the cat spikes, but isn't able to survive. Go Next are gone because here comes Complexity, taking out both the EMEA teams.
Just when you think you're safe, suddenly a grenade out of nowhere. 4 squads now remain. We've got Fnatic, Complexity, Envy, and Furia in match 1 of our match point finals here in Japan. Envy have been very quiet, by the way, just going about their business, avoiding all the gunfire, but I think Furia have just spotted them out. 2 of our 4 teams with a Valkyrie in their composition, may I add, as Fnatic have just created so much space on this northern side.
You mentioned Envy. Well, across from them, staring them in the whites of the eyes, is going to be Furia. The slam and the counter slam. The wall will belong to Envy here, which will force Furia away.
By the way, Complexity have been able to just manipulate this map in a way where they found themselves on the southern side, and if they can kind of force everyone else to engage here on the north, there is a real chance Complexity can walk away with it.
Well, Envy, they're going to poke out Vaxelon. He's dealt with. Complexity also from distance getting involved with it. So Furia, even the full red armors can't save them. They will fall out in 4th place as we are now into our top 3.
What an opportunity this is to score big points for all 3 of these squads who remain in this final circle. Fnatic and Envy are the closest, but look at the coverage.
Envy getting absolutely ripped though. Envy are gone. It's a 3v3. Complexity versus Fnatic. Leica trying to survive. Complexity move forward. Yuka with the Peacekeeper trying to hold the line, but Womnock already got to Complexity. Now Stera left on his own. Complexity will win game 1 of your match point finals.
Put some respect on his name. Monsoon on the desk lets them know. Fnatic have been a thorn in their side all tournament long. What was it I said right at the start of that game? They keep running into Fnatic. They keep losing the bubble fights. But I've heard it time and time again. This is Complexity's meta. And they put big points on the board in match 1.
So it is North America who strike first here in Sapporo. You mentioned it. Everybody's saying when the patch came out, this is a Complexity meta. Well, maybe, just maybe, they're about to prove us right. Complexity, 21 points on the board, 12 points for first place, 9 KP as well. And remember, in our match point finals, it's all about, first of all, hitting 50 points and then winning a game to become champions. Complexity almost halfway there.
What a feeling that must be for Complexity. But it's all well and good getting a win on the board when you're not on match point. It's about getting the job done once you reach that 50-point threshold you were mentioning. I mean, a team that has found their most points on E-District, I think they will be pretty confident every single time this map comes around. But of course, we have 3 maps being played in these finals, so it's consistency across the board. The good news for Complexity, by the way, and I think that might be the best photo I've ever seen from Monsoon.
Imagine that running at you in a bubble fight. It's so surprised that Complexity won.
Well, Fnatic do still pick up 17 points.
Oh,
the hometown heroes putting up
Bob.
a big number to ensure that they stay in this race for match point as well.
Absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Well, with game 1 done. Excuse me, sorry, I'm still flummoxed from the Monsoon picture. We're actually going over to Ryan on the floor because he, I believe, is with a very special guest.
札幌の皆様、特別なゲストがいらっしゃってますので、勝弘秋元様でございます。盛大な拍手をお願いします。
はい、皆さんこんにちは。
ALGS チャンピオンシップファイナルズに来ていらっしゃってるファンたちには一言お願いしてもよろしいでしょうか。
はい、皆さんこんにちは。札幌市長の秋元です。ALGS ファンの皆さん、そして選手の皆さん、ようこそ札幌にお越しくださいました。皆さんを札幌市民を代表して心から歓迎します。
So I asked him if he had any kind words for the fans here in the dome, and he just said that he's very happy to welcome everyone here, and of course he appreciates each and every person in attendance, and he's over the moon about this happening right here in Sapporo. On to my second question. I'm going to ask him, you know, what does it mean for him to have a massive event like this happen in Sapporo? 勝弘様、こちらのイベントが札幌で開催されることにどれほどの意味があるのでしょうか。
はい、これアジアで初めて今回この LGS の大会チャンピオンシップが開催されます。そういう意味では、こうして札幌に多くの皆さん、そして選手の皆さんが来ていただくことで札幌、北海道を皆さんに知っていただく、そしてオンラインで見ていただいている方もたくさんいらっしゃいますので、そういった方たちに札幌の街の良さ、これをね知っていただく、また楽しんでいただくことができるっていうのは一番本当に嬉しいことです。
Alright, so I asked him how important it would be to have this event here in Sapporo, and he just mentioned that, of course, everyone here in the dome, all the people tuning in live online, knowing about Sapporo is a great thing. His interest is that everyone gets to know how amazing Sapporo is as a city, and this is one thing he's extremely grateful for here today. Third and final question. Apparently it's his birthday. I wonder who he's going to give his wish to in terms of which team he wants to see go all the way and get this beautiful trophy. 勝弘様、本日は勝弘様の誕生日だそうですが、
ありがとうございます。
本日はですね、誕生日の願い手ですね、どちらのチームの勝利にかけるのでしょうか。どちらのチームに渡しますの。
こんな運命の日にね、参加できるということは大変嬉しく思ってますし、20チームの皆さんがこれまで頑張ってきたので、願いといったらこの20チームみんなに勝ってほしいなと思うんですけど、そうもいかないですから本当に皆さんが最大に頑張っていただける、それを望んでいる、それが願いですね。
わかりました。ありがとうございました。So I asked him who he would give his birthday wish to, and he replied that all 20 teams have worked very hard to be here and all are equally deserving of the title. So he's just really happy that people are here enjoying the event and histories are being made at the ALGS Championship. 皆様、勝弘様、大きな拍手をお願いします。
はい、どうもありがとうございます。
All right, that's it from me here and the mayor of Sapporo. Take it away.
Thank you so much. I mean, what can you say? This has been such a big event when you've got the mayor of Sapporo here showing his support for what is, such a landmark event, not just for Sapporo, but also for the ALGS. Look at how many people are in here. I've got a couple of friends, and one of them said that he was queuing for so long to get in, and understandably so. I mean, look at the amount of seats that aren't filled. There's none. It is literally standing room only if you want to be in here, and I've got to say, you can feel it. You can really hear it as well, and I've got to say to the mayor of Sapporo, surprised he didn't go with Fnatic. It would have been a cheap pop, easy one to get, right?
And happy birthday as well. But honestly, they were queuing since 4 a.m. by the way, this morning. The first fans arriving, that's how important it is to them to get front row seats for what is the biggest ever Apex tournament in history. ALGS has grown so much throughout when we've been involved ever since the very beginning on set, and it is honestly so magical to be here.
I mean, if everyone forgets as well, we worked through the...
It is the race to 50 points first, and then once you hit 50, that opens you.
Ships in Raleigh, North Carolina was that moment, and it felt more than just a tournament, that one. It really did feel like finally a community that had built itself had the opportunity to get in one place and support these players and these teams that you see on this stage. And a couple of years later, I mean, look at this main stage, look at the amount of people that are here in attendance, and look where we are. We're halfway around the world from where I live, halfway around the world from where you live as well.
Yep.
Here in Sapporo, Japan, it certainly has been an experience for everybody, to say the least. But back to the action then, back to our match point finals, and Complexity with that win in game number 1 will be extremely happy with how E-District went. But now we change things up.
We move over to Storm Point, where a lot of teams prioritize that POI draft that you saw briefly on your screen there. One big team to mention, Aurora, who came in as first seed from the bracket. They average about 11.2 points on Storm Point. If they can find that kind of form, boy, you better believe they'll be catching up Complexity and Fnatic.
And keep that number in the back of your minds. If you're here in the arena in Sapporo, if you're sat at home, wherever you're watching and being a part of the ALGS match point finals here, 50 points is what needs to be hit for one of these teams to hit match point.
Aurora, TSM, Team Falcons, 3 of our heavy hitters when it comes to consistency across Storm Point. I can't quite explain it enough. Averaging over 10 points on a map is insane. It's all well and good getting a 1-off and getting a 15, a 16 and whatever, but to consistently do it 10 points plus time and time again when you are on this map just shows that you are a real threat in this lobby, because so many of these games have been decided by Storm Point. So much priority has been sent into this map for the Tridents, the importance of having that vehicle to get into a position. And if you can be one of those teams that is game in, game out on Storm Point, getting points on the board, it will give you such a good chance of reaching that 50-point threshold.
Well, let's talk about zone here on Storm Point. Let's talk about where we're going. Let's talk about the difference between the last zone that we saw on E-District and what we're about to see now. Historically, Storm Point end zones usually a little bit more open than what we see on the likes of E-Districts, even World's Edge as well. And this one could not be more open. It looks like potentially a bean zone, one that's finishing in and around the Godrock as well. And, you know, you're looking at Guild at the moment. They're heading out towards Godrock already. Aurora do have a ring console, if I'm not mistaken, there at Cenote Cave. So they're going to have a really good idea of where this is going. And Noctum Esports, who have been one of the quickest rotators when it comes to finding an endgame spot, well, they're already bang center zone.
Honestly, tough to tell whether Aurora have a ring console or a survey beacon there. But maybe it's only a beacon. It's tough for them if it is the case. Now, Exo Clan have already moved in. Noctum find themselves center zone. Go Next moving very quickly as well. And you mentioned there is a lot of open space, but not much playable area. And I think that's what's going to be quite scary for all of these teams on the edge that are going to arrive late here. It's about timing it perfectly. If you are one of the teams that is playing Valkyrie, for example, do you try and land as the zone's about to shift, because maybe you can catch people moving out of some of these areas. Maybe you can catch people as they're fighting. There's going to be a lot of decisions to be made.
Yeah, just the note on Aurora and if they do have a ring console or not. If you're wondering why we're not sure, it's because there's a support bin and an assault bin on our mini-map right over the top of the icon that will tell us. So we'll get that information to you as soon as we can. But Envy, for them, it's all about collecting Evo, a very different path for them towards this zone.
Wow, Fnatic already pushing, and it's TSM under fire yet again. It's a different APAC North team chasing them, though.
Well, the difference is here, TSM are the ones with blues, and it's Fnatic who have the white when it comes to armor. Reps goes for the slam, but here is the counter slam from Yuka that forces Reps and TSM off of this high ground.
Yeah, this is a big fight for TSM. They can't afford to go down early in 2 games in a row, but Verholst has Sheila singing.
Zap gets one, Reps gets the second, and Yuka's going to be left on his own. Not going to be able to do enough. TSM this time around will be the team to eliminate someone versus Falcons. They might have found someone who's just perusing in the spider caves.
That was a must-win for TSM. It's Shopify Rebellion on the receiving end of this, by the way. Giants colliding right now as 1 knocked on either side. No, make it 2 knocked for Shopify Rebellion, so Falcons have the advantage, and Shopify will try and escape.
Falcons, we mentioned how one team fight can change the confidence, the swagger, like I mentioned yesterday, of this team. And if there's anyone, I think, with all due respect to the rest of the lobby, they would love to take down in a 3v3, it's Shopify Rebellion, 2 members of which, of course, the champions of the previous tournament.
Gotta remember as well, Falcons playing out of Command Center, or maybe you don't remember, you might not have seen that POI draft. They are playing for Command Center, and not a usual position you would see Falcons playing from, but it's as close to Lightning Rod as you can get, really, without being at Zeus Station, which was also taken by someone else. And Falcons decide to move up north, and then they catch Shopify Rebellion on their rotation.
Yeah, a little bit of a counter-rotate coming in from Falcons. I think they probably did that because of where this zone is going, and it's all about prioritizing Evo for them to make sure they've got the armors, and Shopify Rebellion, quite simply, by the looks of things, didn't really expect it. They were expecting a little serene walk through the spider tunnel, which is a terrifying sentence to say, but it certainly wasn't for them. Noctum Esports will deal with Team Burger. They will go out next. Very comfortable fight for them.
And just to go back to that TSM Fnatic fight, by the way, considering it is Fnatic, one of our best